Welcome to another edition of the Giants Huddle podcast, brought to you by Citizens, the official bank of the New York Football Giants. Second time we're being joined by the one and only Matt Sims. He's a quarterback trainer. He's on Sirius. He's on a podcast with Big Phil. That would be his dad, Big Phil Sims.
That's right, yeah.
So first of all, Matt, before we get going here, first of all, good to see you again.
Yep,
You've been
good
out
to
of
see you as
camp
well.
a couple days this summer. Tell the folks where they can find everything that you're doing, whether you're on Twitter, all that good stuff.
Yeah, Twitter, Instagram, the podcast, YouTube, wherever you listen to podcasts, Sims Complete, me and Big Phil, talking all things ball. We focus a little bit more, I would say, on the quarterback position, just given our expertise and our background. But yeah, my father and I just love the game so much, and of course we love also just the friendly banter between father and son, talking football, and yeah, it's been a real honor and privilege to do this with him.
It's been great having your dad back in the building doing
Yeah.
the preseason games, man. He seems invigorated. You guys get to hang out here. He's watching practice. It's fun.
It really is, and I know how excited he is to be back. And there for a while where he was with CBS for more than 20 years.
Long
It
time.
was, I think it was strange for him to say that he was part of the media, and he really couldn't necessarily identify consistently with saying that I'm a Giant, I'm rooting for the Giants, all those things. But he really does enjoy just being in the cafeteria, talking to all the guys, seeing the players, seeing former players like Howard Cross and Carl Banks and all them, talking with guys like you about the game, about years past, great storytelling. And showed up to do the show with Sirius XM with Bob Papa today, and lo and behold, I walk into the cafeteria and there's Big Phil, and I'm like, hey,
You didn't know he was going to be here today?
I did not know he was going to be here today, so it was great. He didn't tell me, and I didn't tell him, and yeah, here we were in the Giants cafeteria hanging out. But yeah, it really is special, and I know he's enjoying every minute of it.
Yeah, you just got off the air with Bob Papa doing the Sirius
Yeah.
XM Giants training camp special. They do
Right.
one for every team every year. Just let's start very simple. What are your impressions, having been around the team for a few days now this summer? What have you seen, and what's jumped out at you?
Well, I mean, one, just the 100 years. This is a special offseason, a special season for the New York Giants. It really just kind of reminds, I think, everyone in the NFL too, just how special this organization is, right? And of course, there's great organizations throughout the NFL, and the Steelers and the Cowboys and all that. But just the Giants have been doing it for such a long time. The Maras, the Tishes, and what they've done for this league and for everything is just, it's so special. And for my father to be a part of that is unbelievable. And I think too, just, hey, season 99 didn't go great. It didn't.
No, it did not.
I think there is that genuine optimist, approach to this season. I think a lot of people are excited. The offensive line has improved. A healthy Daniel Jones. The skill group, I think, has improved that much more with a guy like Malik Neighbors now inserted into the starting lineup. Brian Daboll now going back to being the play caller again on the offense side of the football. So a lot of things I think to be excited about for this team. And for me being a fan of the Giants, just really looking forward to the season.
Good. And you hit all the bullet points I'm going to hit with you. This is perfect. So I'm going to
Yeah.
focus on the offensive side of the ball with you, given your quarterback background.
Let's do it.
So let's start with DJ. What have you seen from him, watching him throw the ball, moving around? I mean, I think if you didn't tell people rather that he had an ACL last year, people would think he's 100% healthy.
Yeah.
You couldn't tell by looking at him. But what are your impressions watching him in camp?
Yeah, I think really just it's that the ability to be super comfortable in the offense. And I think you really do see that in practice, is that, there is no hesitation with what he sees. As everyone says on TV, the footwork and the eyes are matching each other. And when he hitches, he's turning, he's throwing in rhythm. The guys are getting out of the cuts. The ball is exactly where it needs to be. He's throwing with tremendous power. He's throwing with tremendous anticipation, and just being a super decisive decision maker right now so far. So the past few days that I've seen him practice, I have not seen any moment where he looked unsure of himself, right? He looked like he was throwing with great conviction of the football. And, not only that, but just, it looks like he's standing super confident in the pocket. Someone who's coming off of, like you said, that ACL injury and even the neck things that he's dealt with.
Sure.
Playing extremely big and strong in the pocket, which he naturally is as a person. And then also, too, the pocket itself just looks cleaner. It looks like there's more of a surface area that for him to operate on. And then you get those tidbits of reminding everybody, the fans and everyone at home, just like, dude is a phenomenal athlete. And he took off and ran on 2 plays in practice today. And one of them probably would have been a 45, 50-yard touchdown because he took off and outran everybody on the defense. So just excited to see a healthy Daniel Jones, reinvigorated, always, just can't say enough about the person and how hard he works. So really excited to see, him put his best foot forward for this season.
Yeah, I want to get to the offense line in a second. But final on DJ physically, I don't think fans quite realize how well put together a person Daniel Jones is. Like, we were joking in the cafeteria. You guys all call him Big Phil. And, Phil stands next to Carl Banks, and he's, like, bigger than Carl. Like, people don't, like, just not even, like, bigger, like, bad big, like, frame-wise. He's just a humongous person.
Yeah.
And, DJ, I don't think is the Big Phil status, but DJ is, he's 6'5",
I would say,
230. He's pretty big.
DJ 6'5", 230. I'm 6'3", 215, and, I just feel like there's a noticeable difference between, like, my frame and how I look compared to DJ. He's kind of got it all, and I think the exciting thing for me as a fan, is just knowing that he does have a little bit more of a supporting cast for himself to really just build that confidence. Like, I know, like, you laugh a little, right? But it's just like,
well, I laugh because this is the conversation we've been having for 5 years.
No,
but
I know.
You're right.
It takes time. And, unfortunately for Daniel, it wasn't necessarily in the time that he probably would have liked it to be at, like compared to a lot of other guys that are thrust in the starting lineup and kind of have that room for error. But even Bob Papa made a great example that I think, is really true. Like, it's kind of like Alex Smith, in San Francisco. Like, we knew that he was good. We knew that he could kind of do it. We just didn't see enough evidence to prove that. And there also wasn't enough of a supporting cast or structure around him to support that either. And it looks like we're hopefully kind of getting on that same track that he experienced in San Francisco.
Yeah, then Alex Smith winds up first with Harbaugh there, then he winds up with Andy Reid in Kansas City and all the weapons there and everything.
Yeah, and ends up having a 15-year career, and we think very highly of him and who he is as a person and the character that he has as he was as a football player.
Absolutely. Put the fans in the shoes of a quarterback, because I haven't even asked you about protection of the offensive line yet.
Right.
And you've mentioned it, I think, 3 times in answers about the quarterback.
I guess so, yeah.
No, but it makes sense, right? And this is what I want to get to.
Yeah.
So how difficult is it for a quarterback to be confident in the pocket, to throw in rhythm, to always have their eyes downfield, to be able to make those good decisions when, and this might sound strong, but if you watch the tape last year, it's hard to argue, you have zero confidence that your line can give you any level of protection because you have so many injuries in front of you.
Yeah, and I think, Shane, we talked with Shane, during the interview for SiriusXM, and Joe Shane, excuse me, and he just, he was saying that just the fact that we have depth in that room now, really adds another level of just like feeling confident about ourselves, knowing that a guy like, Stinney might be the 5th or 6th guy in that offensive line. Like, that's exciting news for us, Illuminor, who is, really doing a great job at the tackle position, to know that Evan Neal now is, one of our potentially starters or backups at the tackle position. Like, this is great. These are good things to have because all these guys are capable and have game experience. And, for the quarterback position, we saw it so much, just with so many quarterbacks that the hits that you take early on in your career, they really do take a toll on you. And
mentally and physically, right?
Physically, spiritually, however you want to say it, man. It just takes away from your confidence to really play super decisive and just really be convicted in what you see with every single play that you have out there. And I think that's where, for me, I get really excited for Daniel Jones. And that's why I get really excited, too, for even the fact that Daniel has Daboll as the play caller now, too. Because, let's face it, Coach Daboll, he earned this job of being a head coach by being a great offensive mind and by being a great play caller and a great game manager. And seeing him back where, he really belongs, I think is very exciting for all of us fans for this Giants season.
You're ready for a change. Payday comes early with Citizens, so go to that retreat. New You moves to the country. Now you're raising goats and launching a lifestyle brand. Are you ready for all that life brings?
Yeah, I want to get to the receivers in a second, but let's stay on Daboll. Why, in your mind, again, speaking from a guy that played quarterback, is he such a good play caller? What does he do well that helps set up a quarterback for success?
Well, I think one of the things that's really interesting about him is that he does a great job of understanding kind of just what it takes to win, right? Given the team that he has built. So, I mean, let's just take Buffalo, for example. I mean, there he is in Buffalo with a young quarterback, and everyone's thinking, let's run the football more. Let's win at the line of scrimmage. Let's protect the football. Let's protect our young quarterback. And what does he do? He goes out there and he throws it 30, 40 times, like 2 or 3 weeks in a row with a young quarterback.
Passes all day.
First down, third down. It didn't matter. We were throwing it. And I think it's kind of one of those things where just like, he believed in what he put in conceptually for his offense for those few weeks, and it was successful and it worked. And it also helped Josh Allen really build that confidence within himself to continue to do that and put the team essentially on his back. So I think, Coach Daboll just having the understanding of, really utilizing what his players do extremely well, consistently being creative, and then really honestly just, having that ownership of it, I think is really important. Instead of being able to say, you should have called this instead of that, now it's like, man, yeah, maybe I should have called that. But now you're really going to put more of an effort of like feeling super confident in like what it is that you're doing, what plays you're executing, what plays that you're installing to get your guys open each and every play. And, with the young receiver core, he's got a lot of work ahead of him, obviously, to make sure that he's not overwhelming them. But at the same time, I do have complete faith that he has the ability to do that and to really bridge that gap between his veteran and younger players for now.
Citizens is proud to bring the Giants' 100th season celebration to the Queens Night Market on Saturday, August 17th, and the Tottenville Staten Island branch on Monday, August 19th. Meet Giants legends, win tickets to the home opener, and more. Get the details at citizensbank.com/Giants. So I think it's interesting, Matt. I want to talk to you about what a difference the play calling part can make, right? Because the system's the same. This is the same system that's been here the last 2 years. It was
right.
It was always Dable's offense.
Always Dable's offense. Yep.
He had a little wrinkles. Like you talked to, and this is how I know it because I talked to the guys that got it from Buffalo like a year later, and they're like, "Yeah, it's the same, but we definitely see some of the wrinkles that Kafka brought in."
Right.
But it was always Dable's system. What difference can having a different voice maybe in some of those offensive meeting rooms, telling the quarterbacks what to focus on, combined with maybe the rhythm you call plays, the timing and sequencing of your plays, how much of a difference can that change make, even if the base offensive system is still the same?
Yeah, and this is where every year is different, right? Every team and its roster is slightly different. So what you do really will kind of vary on just like what those individuals do best, right? For you to execute efficiently, consistently. And most offenses, I feel like, really don't know what their identity is until probably like week 5 or 6 of the NFL season,
yeah,
too.
I buy that.
And even sometimes later than that. Even the Kansas City Chiefs is a great example of that. Like, they didn't really know what the hell they were until like week 12 or 13 of the season. Now they still won the Super Bowl, but still, like, you do have to kind of go through those growing pains. And I think with Daboll being in the room with the quarterbacks, now it's not like, well, this is what Kafka's saying, and then Daboll is kind of throwing his 2 cents in there to his offense or to his recipe. Now you really are hearing it from the chef. Like, no, this is how we're going to make it. This is how I want you to execute it. I know this might be a difficult throw here, but I'm just telling you, have conviction, make the throw, get it done. And I think those things are very empowering for football players, right? To be able to say, like, there is one voice and one opinion you have to worry about, and that's the head coach or our offensive coordinator. He's in the room with me every single day, and you really do start to build that connection. I mean, if we spend every day after practice doing this show, after a year or two, we would have a great rapport with each other. We would be able to finish each other's sentences, and that's really how you have to be when you're a coach-quarterback connection.
All right, now let's give to the third part of the kind of the supporting cast. We talked about protection. We talked about the coaching.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about the targets.
Let's do it. Yeah.
Because, I mean, let's be honest. We've talked about the offensive line, but since Daniel Jones has been here, Darius Slayton's been his number one wide receiver.
Right.
And I think on most teams, Slayton's a 2 or a 3, right? Based on his numbers, the type of player that he is. Really good player, reliable receiver, but he doesn't profile as a traditional number 1 in an offense, right? Malik Neighbors, on the other hand, profiles as a 1.
Yes.
So how does that make things, besides the obvious, how does that make things easier for a quarterback, just even in his decision-making process when he goes back to pass? When you have a guy like that if you're playing man again, he's going to win pretty much every time.
Right. And this goes back to like even like the stories that my father would tell me about, just Mark Bavaro and like his aspect and his impact on the football team. that Parcells would say like, yeah, hey, I know Bavaro's covered here, but still throw it to him because he's open even when he's covered. And I think that's something that should be refreshing for Daboll and for Daniel Jones too, is that Malik Nabers has really shown throughout his career at LSU that even when he is extremely covered, like well covered down the field, if you give him the opportunity, more than not, he's going to come down with that. I mean, as far as like catch probability rate last year in college football, as far as contested catches, it was like Rome Odunze and then him and then Marvin Harrison, right? And like it was substantially those three compared to the rest of the country. So for Daniel Jones, I think he's going to have a great time. Like he'll probably throw one of those passes in the game where it's like he'll throw and be like, "Ooh, maybe I shouldn't," and then he'll be like, "Oh man, all right,
maybe I should."
My dude just caught that really confidently and easily, and you know what? I can continue to do those things more and more, and that's where I think players really start to kind of fall in love with each other on the field that way when they have those plays to build off of it. And I think Daniel Jones, for the first time in his career, has that guy, and by doing that, now you're going to allow other guys like Slayton and Hyatt to really build into those other roles and to play those roles extremely well. And, I'm excited even for like today, like at practice, like I thought Theo Johnson really, really impressed me today. I thought he looked really good. He moves well. He's got a big frame. You can definitely mix him up with the formations and the personnel groupings. So for a young football player, Theo Johnson, Malik Nabers, I think there's some really good pieces to build upon here for this New York Giants offense.
Does that make it easier for Daboll to game plan too? Because eventually other teams are going to, you go into a game, the other team is going to do the old red Sharpie on Nabers, right? They're going to circle him on the game plan, focus on him.
Yeah.
Does that then make it easier for Daboll to attack that team knowing that they're going to be focused on Nabers?
Yeah, and sometimes too, it goes both ways, right? Where it's like, all right, let's be creative to get our guy the ball.
Of course.
And then there's the times where like it doesn't matter. We're just gonna give our guy the ball, and we're still gonna get it done. And this is where like I think Kyle Shanahan really taught me this when we were in Atlanta with Julio Jones, and you see him now too in San Francisco with Deebo Samuel. Is that they don't necessarily throw him the traditional like let's get him open on an in cut or this. Like no, let's give him a reverse. Let's give him a speed reverse. Let's give him, this little trick play or this screen or this. And I think those are the plays that we should see a little bit more of in this Giants offense that we did not see a year ago, which allows Malik Nabers in this offense to really kind of spread the field out more than we've ever seen.
And I think the running game will be fine. I know Saquon Barkley's a big loss, but given, I think, your improved protection, teams are going to have to keep two safeties deep a lot more with Hyatt and Nabers out there.
Mm-hmm.
Devin Singletary is a professional running back. I mean, and we'll see about the Tyrone Tracy injury. We don't have any more details on that from today.
Right.
Terrible to see.
Yeah.
But I think the running game for a coach that I think, like to your point earlier from Buffalo, wants to throw to set up the run, right? He's not a run to set up the pass type of guy. He's the opposite. I think Singletary is going to be more than fine to run this offense the way he wants to run it.
Yeah, and I think Eric Gray has looked really good. For the few days that I've been here at camp and what I saw in the preseason game too, he looks like he's playing super confident football. It seems like he's getting downhill with like simple, cuts extremely fast. He's low to the ground. He's a compact player. He does a good job of catching out of the backfield too. So I feel like there's enough pieces here for this offense to really start to, create a real identity. And that really was, I think, the issue the past few years is like, what was the identity of the offense? It's like, oh, Saquon Barkley. It's all right, that's great. But like with a struggling offensive line and no weapons on the outside.
And playing from behind all the time.
It's like, how can we utilize one of the better running backs in the NFL? So, hopefully a little bit more dispersed offense, a little more evenly, distributed football. The protection again, now we'll see more athleticism out of our quarterback, which we know that he has and is capable of. And I think that's where, there should be some really big strides for this football team, and really just the depth at the offensive line position. All the positions, I think, is absolutely huge.
And veteran depth, where you know what you're getting if you bring the guys in.
You love turf. You're good at it. So you start a turf biz. Business grows, your savings grow. Become the most celebrated name in turf. Are you ready for all that life brings?
Final two questions. Realistic expectation, you think, for this offense and this team in general heading into 2024?
For the offense, I mean, I don't really know how to how to label it, but I mean, hey, it's got to be, and it will be better than it was a year ago. As far as the expectations for the football team, me and Papa were talking about on SiriusXM just a moment ago, but it's just like, what's the over-under? I would say that fans in general, we would be thinking 8 or 9 wins, but I see this as a team that if we can get off on a good start and kind of build that confidence early on in the season and not fall behind too early, this is a team that I think really can win 9, 10, 11 wins and kind of do what they did a year ago, 2 years ago, excuse me, and really shock some people, because I wouldn't be shocked either if the Cowboys or the Eagles, didn't necessarily live up to all the expectations that we have from this offseason. So there's something, going on in the division. The Cowboys, they seem to be a little distracted. The Eagles, they always got something going on really recently. So, for me, just, again, being an optimistic Giants fan, excited for this football team, and really looking forward to the season.
Final question. We do a ton of draft stuff here. It's one of our favorite times of year. So we did a lot of discussions about the quarterbacks this year.
Right.
Just curious to see what your expectations are for those, what was it? Ended up being 5 first-round quarterbacks, right? Or ended up being 6?
6.
6, right? 6, yeah, because Nick was the 6th guy.
Yes.
I'm trying to remember all the guys in my head. There were so many of them.
It is amazing, though, yeah.
What are your kind of expectations for the group, and who do you think you're most excited for in their rookie year? I
mean, definitely Caleb Williams. I thought Caleb Williams, I haven't been doing this media thing for a very long time, but just I was so impressed with his ability, his command, his just the easiness in which he plays such a difficult game, and how powerful his arm is, how athletic he is, the leadership that he has in the football field as a young football player.
Accuracy. I don't think enough people talk about the accuracy.
No doubt, that too, and that's so he's definitely up there. I was a huge fan of Michael Penix as well. I think, the cool thing is that for all of us football fans out there, we saw 6 guys in their first preseason action look really, really comfortable in the NFL.
They did.
Right from the start. And that's where it's really cool. These guys got a ton of reps in college. They played a lot of big games. They essentially had their franchises on their back even in college. And I think all of the coaches from around the league, whether it was Denver, and Atlanta, it didn't matter. It seemed like all of them really did a great job of preparing these young men to play extremely well in the first week, and really excited to see what they do. But yeah, I'm excited to see Caleb Williams for sure. Jaden Daniels, I think, will absolutely thrive in Washington, and really build up that organization to where I think we're used to seeing it. And bring some excitement back to the division with a well-rounded quarterback division.
I know the Sims crew you guys weren't members of the Drake May fan club. I was a member of the Drake May fan club. I think he's going to be really good, so I'm curious to see.
I don't know. I wouldn't say that, but I think I did have him as my 5th ranked quarterback.
Yeah, 4th or 5th, right?
Yeah,
see, he was my 2nd. I even had him at Daniels, which I know was unpopular.
Well, I just from watching the film, I think Drake May is capable of being as good, if not better, than any of them in that group. But I still thought that there was some rawness to the position. I felt like there was some inconsistencies as far as the way he looked in the pocket. Being set up to throw to the route that he was looking at, it seemed always to be a little off at times.
And his accuracy was scattershot.
And
he was off and on week to week.
And I think he was on a team too that necessarily wasn't playing for championships, and they were kind of just kind of letting it fly. So I feel like that allowed him to develop some bad habits, really. Some habits that are not going to fly in the NFL. Oh yeah, don't worry about that pick. We're going to throw another 30 times in this game. So
that's fair.
I think Drake is capable. I do. I believe that, he's got that competitive spirit. You see that in him when you watch him and hear him talk and all those things. So for him, the biggest thing is just there's no rush for him. Learn from Jacoby Brissett.
100%.
Do your best to absorb as much as you can from a guy who's really been through it all in the NFL. And just slowly build into the position. The worst thing that could happen for him is exactly what happened with Zach Wilson a year ago. Sit, learn from Aaron Rodgers. Oh, Aaron's hurt. All right, now you got to be our guy again. So that really is, I think, the worst thing that could happen for him. Get him reps in the preseason. Doesn't matter if they're ugly. Learn from them. Learn to be a great pro from Jacoby Brissett, and then hopefully he can become a great franchise quarterback for the Patriots.
Yeah, take your time, especially the situation there with the wideouts and the offensive line is not the best, so I don't think you want to rush them out there anyway. So
they're the same team I feel as the Giants were a year ago as well. For this year, just they're trying to figure out what are we, right? And offensive line's a big problem. They have improved the skill group a little bit, but we'll see. It's going to be an interesting year for sure.
And I love the fact that 3 of these rookie quarterbacks, Daniels, Nix, and Penix, they're all 24. They're all experienced, so you're getting. Hopefully, some of these guys learn where you can stay in college an extra couple years. become a finished product.
Yeah.
Like if Daniels comes out last year, he's a 5th round pick.
Well, it's crazy
play it
too
out.
that, my father and I, we discussed this multiple times on Sims Complete. Just why is it being more mature and more experience in the college game a detriment now all of a sudden to transitioning to the NFL?
For quarterback, it shouldn't
he's
be.
24 when we just had a quarterback who retired at the age of 45.
Right.
And we're going out of our way even more to protect the quarterback each and every year. So I'm all for it. They got a ton of experience, super talented group. Really wish them the best. Even for JJ McCarthy, coming off this knee injury now,
Yeah.
he played great. Excited to see where he goes. I mean, he's only 21, 22 years old, so he's experienced and he's young. So he's kind of got both, aces up his sleeve. But, I think all these guys really found great homes for themselves, and that's really the biggest thing. You want to see them at places that really appreciate their talent and want to help that talent build into the future. And, I think we're really fortunate as football fans to have this young class coming up.
One more time, tell the folks where they can find everything you're doing.
Yeah, Sims Complete, available on YouTube, wherever podcasts are available. Me and Big Phil talking all things football, and him teasing his son about what fathers tease their sons about. So,
And I'm sure you tease him too.
I do my best, but he's the Super Bowl MVP. He's got a lot of leverage on me. I was just like a backup for the Jets, so I don't really have much. But my father and I have a great time. We enjoy the game so much. The game has given so much to our family. Extremely grateful for every opportunity and to come to Giants camp and to see my father there and to see all the people just kind of, surround him like it's a campfire and listen to the stories and everything that generation went through. It's super special. And again, a reminder too of just, how special he was as an individual football player, how special those teams were in the 80s and 90s. And again, just how special this organization is too. So, extremely grateful for the opportunity to be a part of that story.
You're going to drag Chris down here at some point, or is he just going to stay in his studio?
Yeah, I mean, Chris is the man. I mean, the fact that my brother is one of the better people in the media game right now for football, and excited he's got an opportunity here for college football this season as well too.
Oh, what
for
is
NBC.
he doing for college? Oh,
so he's
really?
doing like the NBC, game day show.
Oh, is he really?
Yeah,
That's awesome.
so
I didn't know that.
He's got that coming up too. So yeah, Christopher is doing his thing to hopefully fill in the shoes that Big Phil left for him. And the good thing is that they know what they're talking about. They got great experience and they back it up with facts. So the Sims family is doing their thing, and I'm just trying to hold up my end of the bargain.
See, I gave you a chance to take a shot at your brother, and you took the high road.
I
That's
took
being a
the
good
Ted
brother.
Lasso approach, man.
Yes, you did.
So it's all good, man. That's what younger brothers do.
That's the Giants Huddle Podcast, brought to you by Citizens. It's proud to bring the Giants 100th celebration to the Queens Night Market on Saturday, August 17th, and the Tottenville Staten Island branch on Monday, August 19th. Meet Giants legends like Phil. Win tickets to the home opener and more. Get the details at citizensbank.com/Giants. For Matt, I'm Schmelk. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.
Thank you. Appreciate it.